All right, YouTubers, welcome back to the Weather Show with Vin Crosby. If you're new to the show, subscribe, give us a like. It helps get the information out across the YouTube algorithm. This is the weather situation that I live for, where it's like a little bit of thought process has to go into what makes up the forecast for you overnight tonight. So we're going to get a little weather geeky. Going to get into it here because I love this type of situation. Will it rain? Will it snow? Will it be both? And will it affect your travel? The answer is yes to everything. Let's go and take a look at the satellite map because we do have a split, if you will, on the clouds. Clear to see. Let me draw because I love to draw. You know that by now. Here's your split. Notice these clouds here going in this direction. Zoo. And then notice the clouds down below going in this direction. Zap. And that is giving a split. Where's the split? Well, looky there, right down over southwest Idaho. Look, those lights there. That's Boise and Nampa and Caldwell. Let me go in for a closer look. You can see it right through there. There's the split. You can see it too here, right there. And then these clouds going right there. So this is a split in the upper levels of the atmosphere, like we're talking, 15, 18, 30,000 feet. What does that do to us down at the surface? When air goes that way aloft, I shouldn't do that. It's going to make everything. When air splits aloft, it comes together down below. The air converges. And so that helps form low pressure. It helps form rising motion. It helps form clouds. That's a long story to get to the point that's going to give us some precipitation as we go through the overnight hours. But you felt a little of that convergence today, didn't you? Well, maybe. We'll see. I know that was a movie. But that's the wind. The wind was coming down the valley and converging at the low levels. And it really got gusty at times. You could really feel a dramatic change during the afternoon, couldn't you, today, as that wind started whipping down the Treasure Valley at the low levels of the atmosphere. And that's what we're seeing out there right now, these winds. So these are stations across the region. There's Boise right there, all these little weather stations, the wind coming in from the southeast direction. The red number, that's the gust of wind. The black number, that's your air temperature. The blue number, that is the dew point temperature. That's how much moisture is in the atmosphere. And the lower the dew point temperature, the drier it is in the atmosphere. That's key to tonight's weather forecast here in the Treasure Valley. So the winds, let's notice that they're light, first of all. The gusts of wind are only around maybe 29, 30 miles per hour. So that's not a big wind, which really is telling me now that the atmosphere is settling down and we're going to take what we get. And if we throw moisture into this atmosphere right now, pretty good chance it's going to come down as snow as we go through the overnight hours. Earlier today, the Oahees were up around the 40s here while we were in single digits back here through Payette and Ontario. That's the classic inversion, the cold air at the surface, the warm air aloft at the higher elevations. And right now we're seeing temperatures in the 20s to around 30 degrees with low dew points and moisture coming into play. I just checked some of the traffic cameras back through here along 84. All snow above 3,000 feet. Probably a little bit of a mix of rain and snow, maybe some freezing rain in the lower levels as the moisture gets through. But right now, I think it's an all snow situation. And much of the Treasure Valley, we'll see that back towards the western end of the valley. I think we'll see less amounts of accumulation. As you come up in elevation, we'll see a little bit more as we go through the overnight hours. So here's the radar. Let me put it into motion here, and you can see the general motion of the rain and the snow coming across Northern California. What a year for them, the snowpack, huh? Tremendous. Cascades, too. Like I said, most of the drought disappearing right before our eyes. Then you can see a lot of heavy precipitation up around Baker, Pendleton, coming on down through the Treasure Valley, just before it gets to the Treasure Valley in Ontario and Payette. But that band eventually will be moving in our direction. We'll start to get this stuff down here, moving on up over the cold air mass. This next piece of weather information talks about that dry air. We send up weather balloons every night. This is the Boise weather balloon, and all the information that we get as meteorologists helps us make a decision on rain or snow. The red line you see here, that's the air temperature going up in the atmosphere from the surface. The green line is the dew point temperature in the weather instruments as you go up in the atmosphere from the surface. And then this 0 line right there, that blue dotted line, that's 0 degrees Celsius. That's the freezing level. So we know in meteorology, as water, liquid, falls into a dry atmosphere, it evaporates, and evaporation cools the atmosphere. And with this big air mass pretty high in the atmosphere, that's up around 7,000 to about 15,000 feet in the atmosphere, maybe a little bit less than that. Dry right there. See that little column right in there? That's dry. And so as moisture falls into it, as we see these lines come together, that means the air is getting moist. There's water there. That's the clouds. And eventually some that's going to fall into this dry atmosphere. This red line will come closer to the green line, kind of like it is up here. It doesn't have too far to go to get down to 0, does it? So there's going to be a pretty good column of atmosphere there for some frozen precipitation, and that's why I think we're going to see some snow. This model, which we have used quite a bit, this is an hourly rendition of the atmospheric conditions, and then it puts out a forecast. This, as you can see, is doing some snow coming down through the Treasure Valley. So this going in through the overnight hours, we see going right as we go in towards tomorrow morning. This we'll see in that area there, that dot's Boise. So it looks like right through Ada County, that little darker shade to lighter shade of blue is about 1 inch to 2 inches of snow. And then as you go into the higher elevations, we'll see a little bit more, 1 to 3 inches of snow. Then a little bit back towards the west. Keep in mind, the wind is blowing. It is not going to be like that fine snow we had with the previous event, where we had tremendous amount of snowflakes and everything kind of stuck to the ground instantly and really piled up over time. This will show big snowflakes, wet flakes. They'll be blowing around, and so they'll stick, of course, to where the snow's already accumulated. But as you continue to go through the overnight hours, my concern is with the temperature up around freezing, and it can be above freezing when snow is falling, is that the cold front is going to slip on through again. So this thing right here, we talked about these maps last night. This is right around, say, midnight tonight. Notice the low pressure at the surface. This is a result of that diffluence, that split in the atmosphere coming over southwest Idaho. That's going to provide the wind and precipitation. But these lines, these isobars, these green lines, again, they are on the map. They're not in the atmosphere. Don't be afraid. This will provide lighter winds when they're spaced apart, but stronger winds down here in Nevada. And as we go in towards tomorrow morning, this is where we'll start to see the front go through and kind of fall apart. But that should, the cold air behind it, it's not a big chunk of cold air, but it is going to move on through and will change over any mix of rain, snow, freezing rain back over to snow. That's what we talked about last night. This will provide maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow on the ground. It'll be kind of slushy like it was today, but that's the way it's looking as we go on in through the overnight hours. And then as we go into tomorrow, we see pretty much high pressure take over and the melting and the cleanup begins. So just want you to be safe on the roadways tomorrow morning. I think you will be. We're all kind of champions now of driving, right, on the roads in the winter conditions that we've had numerous amounts. So notice the snow accumulations in the mountains too. Skiers are loving it. That's another 4 to 8 inches of snow up around Bogus. It looks like just up around maybe Tamarack and Brundage getting into it, but the Oahu's getting into not only that, but maybe 8 to 10 inches of snow, and the higher elevations there. Southeast Oregon, anywhere from 6 to 10 inches, and back up on the higher elevations by Baker and Pendleton, 6 to 10 inches. And then the Cascades, Northern California, those higher elevations, look at that again, 12 to 18 inches of snow. I love it. Montana getting into the mix, Wyoming getting into the mix, not heavy amounts, but enough. And so you will encounter snowy roads across southern Idaho. Again, all of Idaho, look at that, covered with snow from border to border. And Oregon as well, border to border, a lot of snow, with the exception being the coast, and a lot of snow back up in Washington. So pretty good snowfall coming our way. All right, thanks for watching the Weather Show. Thanks to my new subscribers. I put that video out for Washington, D.C. and Baltimore snow, and got 25 new subscribers. Thousands of people watched the video. I like that. I got encouraged to do more of it. The people are liking my format, my style. They want me to do a little bit more forecasting. So I love that. Any comments you have, give me a comment. Ask me what you'd like to see different on the show, or do you like it? Do you don't like it? It all comes with a grain of salt for me. I've been yelled at too many times as a weatherman in my 30-year career. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, please subscribe. Please like. And of course, we have tons of videos for you to watch from previous shows, which are pretty fun to watch. And I've got some of those displaying here.